topic. So Craig, do we have you on the call?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please.
All right,
We'd love you to share
fantastic.
with people a bit about your background and where we're at with this project and where you see us going with this listing.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for having me. You guys are killing it. Marcus, thanks so much for having me a part of the team. And everyone, thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the call. So my name is Crypto Craig. I gave myself that nickname, which is not a very cool thing to do, back in 2014. And everyone thought I was the biggest loser in the world. And then Bitcoin price went up and I was like, people started calling me that. And so I, was working for Bank of America. I was bartending and I just knew Bitcoin was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. I found it on YouTube and I piled in and I took my bartending money and I turned 20 grand into many, many, many millions of dollars in 2015. And I thought I was like God's gift to trading. And I went to go move it offline and to go sit on a beach and figure out how I was going to retire my mom. And my phone turned off and all the money disappeared. I got hacked for every dollar of it. And I lost my mind. It was the worst day of my life. And so I knew this space was still going to be big, but I was like, just so distraught. So I'm like, okay, I can't sit there and be the guy that's like, oh, what if I made, I can't sit there and watch Bitcoin go to $1 million and be like, oh, I would have been this guy. So I'm like, I'm going to commit to learning how to trade, invest, and get around some of the best people. And it was a rough ride, but we battled back and have done very well. And so now I'm fortunate enough to own, a couple different crypto companies. We advise a few hedge funds. I work with Crypto.com, who's just a behemoth in the space. And, I've worked with, the founder of the Bitcoin Foundation, Charlie Shrem, and myself have a company, some really good names. And I don't tell you that to impress you, just to let you guys know that I really know quite a bit about crypto and I consider myself a complete crypto degenerate. And by that, I mean, we live in crypto, like me and my friends, no one's handed anybody $1 in years, we would be offended, right? So we literally live in crypto. And so very recently been working with a couple projects. I just spent about a couple weeks in Dubai at the World Blockchain Summit. And then I was at NFT NYC in New York City, which is probably safer in Dubai than it is in New York City right now. No, just kidding. But in short, my biggest takeaway was that, oh my God, this space is changing so fast and nobody knows what they're talking about. Nobody. It's unbelievable when you find the small group of people who know what they're talking about. And it's unfortunate because so many people want to get into crypto, but they don't know how. And I think the biggest reason people stay out of financial opportunities is because A, the fear of losing money, and because B, they don't know what to do. So a confused mind just doesn't do it, right? So I always loved an easy idea to get people into crypto, but it had to be so easy that, it was like early Bitcoin mining days. I wish you could just, download a software on your computer and make Bitcoin. I wish life was so easy, right? But it really hasn't been. And so you had to download a Coinbase account, and then you had to learn how to set up one of these crazy MetaMask wallets and to swap coins. It's so confusing. It's crazy, but it's amazing. And it is the future. But I wanted something that was a tool that would allow people to do something that they do in their everyday life, but that could be rewarded in crypto. And it's almost like a backdoor way into learning about what I believe, and I think we all know, will be the fastest growing industry and the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world. And so that's when I saw PunkPanda and, owning a cryptocurrency consulting firm and a few different companies, we get pitched on 100 deals a month. Honestly, I got a deal flow from Crypto.com saying, hey, the Lakers want to do this, or, the Clippers want to tokenize, and it's all, yeah. But it's a lot of the same stuff. And so when I saw PunkPanda, I was like, wow, actually, I'm not beyond excited about another app for texting and messaging, but I am excited about an encrypted app that I can use for private, messaging and file share that rewards you in crypto, because it would allow the average person to download an app and do the behaviors that they're already doing anyway, and be rewarded in crypto and start learning about it and get into the ecosystem in a more natural way on the back end. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I got to take a deeper look at this. Long story short, there are so many crypto projects, and basically this is how it goes. You have an idea, you write out that idea and you build a website, you make it look real cool, and then you raise money, and then you pray that you can find the 30 developers in the world who know how to do it to make it a real thing. If you ever looked at a project and there's nothing against it, it's a great project. if you look at like Cardano, maybe you guys have heard of Cardano. It's like, probably the 5th or 7th largest cryptocurrency in the world. They launched 4 years ago. It still doesn't work. It still doesn't even do anything, right? It's just starting to like get going. So now it's a lot easier and things speed up, but it can take that kind of time for things to come to light and come to fruition. But the point of like telling you guys all this is like, it's really just an idea. And then we hope to make a product that works. What I loved about what, Marcus showed me and what we have PunkPanda is that it's a very noble idea in crypto, because believe me, there's not many working products. These are products that actually work. Like they work right now. You can use them, you can message your friends, and they have a lot of different revenue streams that are coming behind them that will fuel what is going to be a token and an ecosystem that will grow. And so when I looked at like the networking side of it, to me, that was a very broken space. I believe Amazon has destroyed the product space in that game, and people are looking for something digital that will scale, that is, not scammy, but it really involves some kind of education as it comes to crypto. And this was a way that they could get in, share, be rewarded in crypto for doing something pretty simple that they like already do anyway. And I really, really liked that concept. And it's something that you can scale. Like I don't have to ship it. I don't have to wait. I'm not worried about chip shortages and, worried about, splitting. It's not like that. It can go very, very fast. And the world of crypto goes very, very fast. And that's why they've been able to do the amazing things that they've done here in such a short period of time, as far as not only raising money, but hitting some of their goals. And for all the things that they're going to tell you about on the update call today, it really is not common from what I've seen in the space. Most of these are pipe dreams with a product that will hopefully one day work. So it's very, very refreshing. And you guys should know this, to have a product and multiple products that work. And now we're kind of wrapping the crypto and the rest of the stuff behind it and giving it everything that it needs. With that said, crypto is very complicated. It's the most complicated thing in the world. It's also the most lucrative thing in the world, in my opinion. Yeah, there's ups and downs, but in short, Bitcoin is the greatest performing asset in the history of time, right? I just tell people that. They're like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, guys, it's the greatest performing asset in the history of time. Like, just stop talking. So it's a big deal. And so you just know that you're in the right space, but there's a lot of work, from legal to development to technical to like designing websites to building apps. It is very, very difficult to coordinate all these pieces to make them work synergistically in a way that people could actually get into crypto and to build a network and to actually, be rewarded for sharing products that work. And so along that way, these guys had the foresight to say, hey, we need to create what's hot in crypto right now. We need to create that over here. And what's really hot is, maybe you guys have heard of like DeFi, or decentralized finance, right? And so basically everything that used to happen at the banks is now happening online, and they're giving the money back to the people if you know how to get it. And it takes a little bit of ingenuity in building, but we are building services that will allow you to be rewarded for doing the activities that you're probably going to do anyway in a crypto type way. But to do so is very difficult. I probably know 4 people in the world who know how to navigate this and to build like these farms that you can like stake your tokens and do it. Don't let me confuse you if this is over your head, but crypto is like, it involves DeFi and staking, and maybe you've heard of like yielding and yield farming. It's the craziest space in the world. It's too confusing. So we wanted to simplify it, but still give you the opportunity to get those returns and start learning and educating yourself and being a part of that ecosystem. And so I had no choice but to turn to my friend, who is, I really firmly believe, like, if you want to get like wisdom and you want to be like, if you need a mentor, especially when it comes to like money, sometimes they should be older. If you want to learn technology, they should be younger. And so that led me to who I call the Jedi, who I turn to whenever I'm stuck with an insane crypto question that nobody can answer. I turn to my good friend, Josh, the Jedi Caleb, who I recently brought on. I shared this with him. He was like, oh my God, dude, if they did this, this, and this would be incredible, and started sharing some of his ideas. So he's not only the chief innovation officer and an executive at a crypto company, runs a hedge fund, like does all these things, is being pulled in many different directions. But when he saw this, he was like, this could actually scale really, really well. And so I knew he had to see it. When he got excited and I thought that we could work together on it, I knew I had to bring him on. And so I'm excited to share him with him. And we're working on a whole bunch of stuff, which I'm sure we don't have enough time to get into tonight, but it will be dripped on over time, and they'll share it through the rest of this presentation. But I wanted to introduce my friend, Josh. He's one of my best buds in the world. I want him to share a little bit about his background and some of the stuff we're working on.
Thank you, Craig. I mean, that's probably one of the best edifications I've ever gotten. I'm over here blushing. You probably can't tell through the Zoom, but I've never been so flattered in my life. I really appreciate that. So first off, I'm really honored to be a part of the Punk family community. It was a pleasure that Marcus was able to bring me on just in time to actually have such a significant impact in the project this early on. To give you all a little bit of color on my background, I've got a pretty all over the place resume. I started my career working for a corporate law firm, handling a lot of filings with the state. I actually ended up transitioning into the traditional finance world, which is what really actually pushed me into crypto. I spent a lot of time working with different financial services, different hedge funds, different investment products. And one of the things that I learned is that within that sort of traditional legacy environment, that ecosystem, there's a big discrepancy in where value moves, right? The value is sort of being channeled towards the top, right? And what's really frustrating about that is, as somebody from a developing country, I come from Colombia. I come from South America. And so for us, we don't really have a banking infrastructure, right? Financial service is such a necessary thing to life. And here in the countries that we do have it, the challenge is that while we do have access to banking, while we put our money in there, we're getting crumbs of value back on those dollars, right? Meanwhile, these financial institutions are making an absolute killing on that money. And so what really inspired me to make that move into crypto is that blockchain facilitated the kind of technology where you could drive that value back to the users, right? Back to the community, back to the individual. And that was something that really struck a chord with me. So back in 2010, it was the first time I read the Bitcoin white paper, got heavily invested into Bitcoin in 2011. And back in the day, there wasn't really so much of an industry, right? You could follow it closely, you could keep up with the technology, you could keep up with Litecoin and some of the forks that were happening off of Bitcoin, but it really hadn't become the kind of industry and the kind of alternative that it is now for finance, right? It was a speculative asset class, as people like to call it. And so back in about 2018, I started working for a startup, following a position that I held for a hedge fund. Our number one goal was to promote mass adoption, right? And so what's the biggest challenge of mass adoption? Everyone had heard of Bitcoin and passing here and there, but the number one issue was the onboarding ramps to bring people into this world and help demystify it for them, right? So we built a business that specialized specifically in sort of hand-holding and creating the processes that would help people get from having no coins to actually utilizing and storing value and earning these really great yields that are available within decentralized finance. And so moving off that company, I was able to build a fairly successful career off of doing a lot of consulting for companies like Crypto.com. What's funny is that well before Craig and I even knew each other, we actually had the same clients. Crypto.com was actually my first client. I did the biggest event for them that they'd ever done in the US back then in Miami. And this was during kind of the Renaissance period in the United States for crypto. This space has moved a ton in the past 3 or 4 years. Back in 2018, I recall being in Mayor Suarez's office in Miami, actually having him sign the Miami Blockchain Week Declaration. So now every third week of January is Miami Blockchain Week. And you're seeing this kind of shift where, Governor Abbott in Texas is now trying to create a blockchain friendly environment. You have Wyoming that is attracting all these different corporations into the state for blockchain companies. You're seeing El Salvador begin to accept it as legal tender because they know that it drives investment in that direction. And it is a wealth transfer that really is empowering people that traditionally have been sort of faced with barriers to entry, right? So, one of the special things of crypto is that, not only are you getting some of that value back, but now you have novel ways of exchanging value, right? And that's what really stood out to me with PunkPanda, because when you're using WhatsApp, you're not really getting anything out of it. They're mining your data, they're using you for advertising, and all these different apps are actually extracting value from you, but they're not really giving it back to you anyway, right? So there's a huge discrepancy in this relationship. And what blockchain allows people to do is create a more leveled playing field where your usage of this technology is actually enabling you to gain a benefit from it as well. And for me, that's why I really moved into the space, into the technology. Similar to Craig, I ended up doing a lot of consulting for organizations like SoftBank, for different hedge funds. I've worked for the biggest exchanges in the world as clients. I've helped them take over entire countries of market share. And now, you know, what I'm really focused on is being purpose driven, right? And so what that means is going back to the reason that I came into this industry in the first place. And so to me, that is giving people a way to get value back from the technology, right? And not just making people, you know, who are already at the top even richer. So PunkPanda, right, has a very unique value proposition, unlike a lot of the other coins and tokens, and the fact that it is driving that value back to the user for things that they're already doing, right? And that's important to me because I see it already happening with, you know, WhatsApp and Zoom and Jitsi. You've got all these other apps out there that are, you know, benefiting from people using them, but there's not necessarily a value transfer back to the individual. And so that's what's really unique about this opportunity. And, you know, as somebody who's launched tons of different projects, has consulted, I like to joke that I've been punched 100 times in the face by every problem that you could face in crypto. And I think the number one problem is actually having something that has a real life effect on people's lives, right? And I think the easiest way to have an effect on people's lives is not to sell them a problem, is not to try and offer them something that isn't relevant to them, but actually meet them where their needs are and with what they're using day to day, right? And that's why PunkPanda made so much sense, you know, as a project that I wanted to be part of and actually have an impact in, is because everyone's already using it, right? And within the traditional world, like you would in crypto, a good business model is something that solves a problem, right? Messaging, encrypted messaging, private file sharing, video conferencing. I mean, we're doing it right now, right? It's solving a problem. And so to me, it was a pretty obvious, it was a really obvious winner to me, because unlike, you know, projects that are just, you know, creating speculative earnings, this is something that people are actually using. So, you know, it really is a unique opportunity that you guys are all a part of this. It's really exciting that we have such an exciting community that's grown in such little time. I actually haven't seen projects take off this many users so quick. So it really is impressive. I have to hand it over to TW Dawson and Albert and Marcus for really growing such an exciting community so quick. That's really unique. And I think it speaks to what an amazing family we have here at PunkPanda.
Wow. Thanks so much, Craig, and thanks so much, Josh the Jedi. Guys, I know you've got a hard stop actually right now on the half hour. So Craig, is there anything else you just wanted to wrap up before we let you go?
I wanted to give a quick apology. I hope everybody enjoyed anything about what we said. I think we were supposed to do 2 minutes, and I am so sorry if we went way over. It's nothing but ego, but we're just excited. But we're bullish on PunkPanda. We're bullish on Marcus and the crew, and TW, and whatever we can help with, guys, we're here. A lot of exciting stuff to come in the near future. So thanks so much for having us. It means a lot.
Yep.